All right, just finished the first day of Path of Exile 2 early access. Decided to play a Titan Minion Mancer, and honestly, it was maybe a bit of a regretful decision because the Titan's skill tree is like so far from the minions, and I kind of underestimated, I think, how slowly the leveling goes in this version of PoE. So I guess a PSA to anyone who hasn't started yet is pick a class and do something that's in the starting area of that class at the beginning, and then if you want to do some like off meta stuff, you can like swap to it later. But yeah, another thing to know too, especially if you're doing minion stuff, is the minion timer. Like after your minions die, it takes like 8 seconds for them to respawn, and that's like after the last minion has died, basically, because like they'll just end up being staggered a lot of the time. So sometimes they'll go like 15, 20 seconds without having like your main damage minions. So yeah, it can kind of be a little bit tough sometimes. At the beginning of the game too, like there's not like a lot of support for minions. Like you have some skeletal warriors that you get on a scepter, and then like in this right here, I'm using I think it's called Unearth or something like that. Like, but you need to get kills to get it to like keep summoning like the little mini minions. So like it's not really great on single target at all. It took a long time for me to get my build to a place where like I was able to actually do like bosses. Once I got summon raging spirits later on in the campaign, like things started to like move along a lot more quickly. But at the beginning, it was like pretty rough. These boss fights are really cool though. Like there's a couple of spots there where like you're like dodging out of big slams, and you're like just getting out in the nick of time. Like it definitely does feel like even right here, like right at the end. Yeah, that's crazy. Like if that last one hit me, I would have just died. This was actually my second attempt on this when I died like one shot to that one before. Here's some more footage to kind of nail home the point of like if your minions get like mobbed and die, then you spend a lot of time like running around without your minions. And like because if you're doing minions, you don't have like a lot of scaling on your like main hand kind of like spells and things like that. You actually end up like not being able to do anything until they spawn. So you can see they all spawned all at once back there. But then like watch how quickly some of these go down. Like only like lasted like 2 or 3 seconds, and then they're like down for 8. So yeah, it's pretty rough at the beginning. I put this boss here in the highlights because I thought it was really cool. She summons like a bone prison around you, and you have to break the bone prison to get out. It's kind of like Cyrus in PoE 1, where like you're kind of trapped in there and you have to like find a way out. Again, same thing, like dodging, constantly dodging those things, and like so sketchy sometimes. But yeah, a lot of fun when you do finally get it. It's like, oh my god, I like clutched that, especially on a build like this with ZDPS. He's got the oh my goodness, get me out of here. Yo, he's sucking me in. Wait, what? And then you get moments like that where, your dodge roll's pretty slow, you don't have any movement skills yet, and it feels like pretty hard to get out of them. Um, I feel kind of bad for melee. I feel like on this fight, yeah, I died a couple times to this boss. Basically, right around this boss was the time that I swapped to WASD movement because I was using this skill here, something fuselage, and it fires like projectiles in front of you. But if you're like using point and click to move, it like when you're clicking to move and then you're like moving behind, sometimes it'll like fire the bolts behind you, and it's like really awkward and janky. You can't dodge while doing it very easily. So yeah, basically, if you have any directional aim skills in this game, you're gonna want to do WASD. Like point and click feels terrible. Once I swapped to WSD though, I feel like things got a lot easier. At this point, when I got Summon Raging Spirits, things started to cruise along a lot more quickly. One thing that I really liked about this game was that the visuals of everything, like all the skills, looked really cool. I thought SRS was sweet. Like basically, you summon anytime you use like a fire skill, it summons SRS. But like with the flame wall, it summons the SRS like on top of the flame wall, and like each like little like spot that it summons the fire, and then they come out of the fire. So it's like there's like little attentions to detail like that are so cool. One downside I had playing Summon Reaching Spirits though was that because it's a spirit gem and spirit gems are like not very common, sometimes you have like a gap in levels. Like I think I got SRS at like level 4 gem or something like that. I got a level 6 one later on down the road. and I don't know. I just felt like there was a bit of a gap there, and I was just like starving for damage for a really long time. Maybe I just missed something along the way, but yeah, it wasn't very smooth. The sound effects are incredible though.
One less danger to threaten.
Oh, Rathbreaker, my lovely friend. I must have died to this boss like 10 times straight up. I'll just put a death compilation here while I explain how you actually do the fight, because I did end up taking it down, though it was quite painful. This fight is difficult because if you stand near the edges, there's like spear throwers that'll throw spears at you, and if you stand in front of Rathbreaker, he'll just slam you to death with like one hit. So you kind of have to like stay down, kind of in the middle, like next to the like on the top of the ledge, but not going down over the sides because you'll just die of the spears, like in this clip right here. You need to stay in the middle, and it's kind of tough for minion builds because like you're getting mobbed by things constantly and your minions are dying if you're staying in that spot. And it's also very difficult to dodge the abilities because you get like body blocked by a lot of the hyenas coming up. So overall, it's a pretty tough fight. If you die a bunch of times, don't worry, it's not your build, it's just the fight is just pretty difficult. I did end up getting it eventually, but it took a lot of tries. But yeah, stand here where I am in this clip right now and just walk in circles around him like I'm doing, and that's basically how you beat that fight. But yeah, it'll take you some time. Probably the number one thing that impressed me the most about the campaign was like the staging of everything and how the art kind of ties in, and everything just looks so incredible. There's a bit of spoilers here, of course, but there's a scene where you open up this gate to let the moving city through, and I just stopped, turned off my map, and just like looked at it for a while. I was just like amazed. Like this just looks so cool. Like everything down to like the tiles on the bridge and like the sculptures and like the city itself moving and like the slaves dragging it and everything. Like man, it just looks so sweet. Yeah, I really liked like the visual look of the beginning of Act Two here. It just looks so incredible. Yeah, that is probably one of my favorite things. Okay, so I guess I'll end the video with a bit of an update of where I am right now, and I'll just show you my skill tree and like where I'm going. All right, so this is where the build is right now. Basically, I'm using 3 Frost Mages, and I've got, let me just bring up their stuff here. So Skeletal Frost Mages, and I've got Arcane Tempo on them for the more cast speed, and Pierce. Although, I've been kind of considering changing this out for like building up the freeze generation or whatever, but this is definitely better for clear. And then I've been trying a couple of different things. I've got, Skeletal Warriors just from my Scepter. This is an old Scepter. I've been having a hard time getting an upgrade. I've been just blowing all my money at the Gambler trying to get a better Scepter, but no dice. Basically, you're kind of, like, the one downside with minions is you're kind of, like, locked into a Scepter once you get a certain amount of Spirit. This Scepter has 132 Spirit. If I took off this Scepter, I'd lose a Frost Mage, so even though, like, the skill on it is level 4 and bad, and the stats on it aren't very good, I don't have a +1 or anything, I kind of can't get rid of this until I get one that has all of those things. So yeah, so basically that's why that is the way it is right now. Also, that says minion max life, with I don't really have much of that on the tree, so I kind of can't get rid of this until I get something decent. So yeah, Frost Mage, and then Flame Wall gives you projectile damage that pass through it as added fire damage, which is pretty nice because these Frost Mages also send out projectiles. So that gives a little bit of extra damage to them. And it also summons the SRS. Like, so if I click here, okay, sorry, wrong button. Okay, so you can see there it summons all the SRS on the Flame Wall. I've actually got Flame Wall with the Fortress there too, so when I put it on an enemy, like, wherever these Frost Mages are standing, they're always firing their things through it, because otherwise, sometimes they just wouldn't pass through. Frost Bomb I'm using to drop cold res, just so that I get like more freeze buildup on bosses and whatnot. And I was using the Skeletal Arsonist for a while. This one throws like it's kind of like the Pocked Miners in Act 4 in PoE 1, where they throw like a little like grenade thing that like explodes in the ground and puts like burning ground down. It doesn't really do like a whole lot of damage, or at least it doesn't yet. I didn't really have too much luck with this, and like because you get a limited number of gem upgrades, I just started putting it all into Frost Mage because I felt like this one was a little bit more effective. So I've got this one at level 7. It's the only gem I have at level 7 right now. Unfortunately, I was not able to get a +1, so I'm kind of stuck at level 7. The other thing too is for a while I was using a spell shield that had +1 to spells on it, but actually these don't count as spells like the minions. They used to in PoE 1, but in PoE 2 they count as what's called persistent, so they don't get upgrades from plus to spells, so that's kind of unfortunate. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So SRS has Fire Infusion, Execute on it. Frost Mage has Arcane Tempo, Pierce, and then the only other thing that really matters is Frost Bomb, Magnified Effect, and Persistence. And this one actually screws up the damage on it, but it doesn't matter because the only reason I have it is just to have exposure for longer anyway. Okay, and then with the skill tree, now this I spent a lot of money like re-speccing the skill tree because originally I had like come down here to pick up this node because I thought that this was like OP, like the allies get a percentage of your max life as regen, and I think that this is a really good node, but at the beginning you have like no damage. So what I ended up doing was I ended up re-speccing all of these points that I got up to here, and then specking into this wheel so that I could get some fire damage just to get me through to this part here, which is like the first minion nodes. And even at level 23, I'm only just about to hit this minion wheel now. So like Titan is pretty far from minions. It's a like, you know, in retrospect, if I had like leveled maces up until like level 30 or something like that, it probably would have been a better idea and then swapped over after. But it is what it is. I wanted to try the minions and like see how they played, so I knew going in it was going to be like not very efficient. And of course, like if you go up through here, like there's minion stuff in here if you're blood mage. So you know that could, or infernalist, so that could be another option to just go through here instead. Yeah, because the distance from here to here is a lot less than the distance from here to here. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video for today. I just wanted to kind of give a first impressions look. Oh, one other thing too, actually, before I go here. One thing that's kind of cool with these mages and with arsonists, they actually have an active ability. So it's Command Ice Bomb. So you can see there's 3 charges because I have 3 of them, and they each have their own cooldowns, and you'll see like the cooldowns come back. Yeah, and you can just kind of dump them decently quick too. So yeah, you throw down your Frost Bomb, start throwing these things down, some of your SRS. Pretty cool. I'm excited for the Titan so that I can get the increase to small passives. There's some small passives I think are really cool, like just like, well, for example, on this tree here, you've got like the increased attack and cast speed and stuff like that. Like that's just like basic stuff. But you've also got stuff like life regeneration rate, which like if you increase that, like you could start getting a lot of regen early. Also, there's like crit, and there's not very many crit nodes, but these crit nodes are an even number, so they actually work nicely with that Titan thing. So like this would be like an additional 20% or 30% crit. That would be pretty good value. And then over here, there's crit multi, and again, there's not very many places to get crit multis, so increasing this by 50% I think is going to be really big. So that's kind of my plan right now, is to pick up this wheel, come up over here, pick up all the crit stuff, maybe come up here after, I don't know. This node is like obviously like insane, you kind of need this. And then maybe I'll go like Mind Over Matter. I'm kind of tempted to take Zealot's Oath too. I think I might take like later, like late game, like when I'm like level 60, 70, I'll come over here and pick up Zealot's Oath once I get a lot of regen. But yeah, that's the video for today. Thanks for watching, guys, and let me know how your league start was. I know a lot of people were like struggling quite a bit with it, so leave your league start experiences in the comments below. Cheers.